on to the good stuff. So, I just wanted to address some good stuff. Well, let me just get one thing out of the way. The new plastic surgeon that I was supposed to go see dropped the ball. After they spoke all of this stuff about how they're in partnership with my insurance company and how I got a free consultation and how they were going to go out of their way to get this surgery for me and work with the insurance company, they dropped the ball. They basically, bottom line, after they said all of that, was that, there's no money in it if we go through the insurance company. So, we want you to pay out of pocket. It's going to be $300 for a consultation. And, and then it's going to be at least $6,000 for the surgery, plus the hospital bill, plus the anesthesia. I was like, what? So again, this time I went through the insurance company to find another plastic surgery. Again, if I can get this done before the year's end, that would be great. If not, I'm just going to have to live with this horrible, painful thing for the rest of my life. But so, I don't think that's going to happen. But as far as everything else, I've just been seeing doctor after doctor. I finally got to see my colonoscopist. She was so booked. She was so booked that I had to wait a whole month to see her at a clinic out near my son's school. And I got there early, and they get me into the room, and the room was so tiny, and there was no air going through, and they kept closing the door. And I kept opening it up again because I was getting claustrophobic and hot. And the receptionist or whoever, the assistant, keeps closing the door. I'm like, look, there's no air in this room. I said, I'm claustrophobic. You need to keep that door open. I have to keep the door closed. I can only keep it cracked. As soon as she left, I put it all the way open. And the reason was because they don't want you to see the doctor going back and forth. And I mean, I've been waiting in a room for over an hour before. I didn't have that luxury. I had to go pick up my son in half an hour. And I just want to say that doctor she was so nice, because I opened up that door. As soon as I saw her, I said, hey, my appointment was 15 minutes ago, and I got to go get my son in, another, 20 minutes. So, and she's like, you came to get the results of your polyps, right? And, well, picking up your son is important, so I'll just see you. And But, I guess that other person was waiting, but I really appreciate that she did that for me. And so that was really nice of her. And so she said, good news is you don't have cancer, your polyps, there's no cancer in your polyps, but it's the kind of polyp that will develop into cancer if it stays in you. So since we took it out, you're good, but I thought it was going to have to come back 6 months or 1 year and do that nastiness again, but she was like, I would suggest you come every 5 years instead of every 10 years. And so I was like, is that for real? Because sometimes I've experienced doctors that just say things just to get you back to make money, but she was like, hopefully I won't see you again for 5 years. She was apologizing for being late. She says, I work at 3 different clinics, and then I work in the hospitals, and I know I need more time for my patients, but then I'm never going to see my family. And I was like, yeah, no, I understand. You won't have any time for anything. I said, you can't live like that. And she was like giving me the thumbs up. Thank you for understanding. But, she said it's the kind that turns to cancer. And I was like, huh? So, I question things, and it's good to question things. And so I did some research, and supposedly there's 3 different kinds of polyps. So, research. And there are some that, though they may not have cancer, they're benign when they're removed from you. They are the kind that will turn to cancer. So it's important to have them removed. So, I got through the worst of it. Every 5 years to save my life. And usually the insurance companies cover 100% of that because it's cancer prevention. So, it's not a great sacrifice to have to drink that nasty stuff. And, it's over so quickly, you don't remember anything, and it's not like they put that tube down your throat. They just put you to sleep intravenously. So it's really not that bad, you know. And I didn't vomit. They say men vomit more than women, and that was true. I didn't vomit it. I just was exhausted I went to bed like at 8:30 as opposed to whatever 11 o'clock. But yeah, it's not that bad. So, you know, hey, you know, it's once every 5 years to save your life. So that was really, for me, that was good news. Also, I went to go see the hematologist. What kind of freaked me out a little bit was that the hematologist is not, it's the oncologist. Oncology is cancer doctor. So I was like a little nervous, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they just told me it was anemia. They didn't say it was like cancer or anything. So she said that, yeah, as an oncologist, she's also a hematologist. My daughter was like a little nervous, like, is that leukemia or whatever? But she told me there's different reasons why there could be, it's a computer error when you do the blood work. So when I redid the blood work, they said instead of putting it through the computer, they have to actually look at it under the microscope. And she said, you know, it was a computer error. You're not, you know, you don't have low platelets. You're not bleeding out. You know, I could go back to my naproxen because, you know, Tylenol's not doing the job. And so I'm not going to use the aspirin anymore. I just, thank God, these pills are working and my blood pressure is going lower. It was like, I think it was like 140 over 80, you know, and I mean, for me, that is so good. It just keeps like going lower, or 130 over 80. It just keeps going lower. It's, yeah, 137 or 80. Thank God. I'm like so grateful that we finally found a pill that works, and does not, make me sick. So I'm like so grateful for that. So no cancer, thank God. No low platelets, so I don't have like any internal bleeding or leukemia or whatever. My blood pressure's going down, the pills are working. But my doctor kept insisting that I had a urinary tract infection. I said every time I get my urine tested, it says it looks like it's infection, but with all the other tests being done, there's no proof of an infection. But she kept insisting that I needed to take antibiotics. I said, but I just finished taking antibiotics for other stuff. You know, your body becomes immune to it. They said, oh, well, this is going to be a different antibiotic, something stronger. I'm like, you know, I was having this really bad pain in my back, and it was traveling upward. I think I said instead of downward. I was getting a little nervous. The fill-in for the doctor said it couldn't be my liver, but I was getting a little bit nervous with it. So I said, you know what, let me just try it. I took it for about 4 days, and I had to stop taking it. I'm just very sensitive to meds. I was starting to feel like this really bad joint pain, and on the 4th day, I couldn't even hold toilet paper, which, as you can imagine, is quite inconvenient. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I looked it up, and one of the really bad side effects is paralysis. I don't know if it would be a permanent paralysis, but they're saying this particular antibiotic has really serious side effects. And so the only way the doctor would prescribe that for you is if they really, really feel you need it, because it's a really strong antibiotic. And I'm like, I told her I didn't need it. So I went to see a urologist, and they were like, they said women, you know, women always come out with some sort of bacteria in their urine, and it's just, you just can't help it. That's just how a lot of the way the women's vagina internally is. There's always some sort of bacteria going to come out, and that doesn't mean that you have a urinary tract infection. And I know, I mean, I used to get them so bad. It was so painful. One time, the last time I got it, I was vomiting. It was horrible. And that's when they had, you know, took out the stones. They went in through, I don't know what they call that, ureter, I think. They had to like blast them and then suck them out. And I was fine until I came here. And the water here is like, oh, so many, it tastes, the Houston water is not bad, but I had to stop drinking tap water because all tap water has minerals in it. But when I came here, especially down to Pearland, this water is toxic. Then they said we found 2 more stones. I'm like, oh crap. So the urologist said he wants to do a CAT scan. And I'm like, well, if they're little, do I need to worry? And he said, yeah, because they're going to get bigger. So I think it's best we take a CAT scan. We make sure, because sometimes sonograms don't really tell because when I went to do my gallbladder, they said, oh, by the way, we found 2 stones in your kidneys. So they wrote that in the report, and he's like, well, sonograms can't really tell that. So that he's going to do a CAT scan and see if I need surgery. And I hope I don't. Because one of the things I didn't like, again, I don't always trust, after what I went through back in North Carolina, I don't really trust doctors. But he said, I told him, I said, it must be this pure water. And I use filtered water. Oh, I don't believe that. I don't really believe that. I'm like, really? Because when they took out my stones, I started drinking tap water. I got sick again. That's when I got the sickest. And so I had to drink bottled water, and then we bought a filter. But I'm thinking that maybe this filter, we got like this filter that supposedly takes out like almost everything out of the water, and it's like $100 a year, which is not bad. Because other filters we had, you have to replace $40 a month to replace, and this one you only need to replace once a year. But since we've been here in Pearland, we haven't been having to replace it more frequently. We've been having to replace it more frequently, and I think this water is just freaking toxic. And I'm wondering if maybe I just need to start drinking bottled water again. But again, that was also kind of pricey. So I'm wondering, would he say that just because it's gonna bring him income? Oh, it's okay to drink the water, and then he's thinking, yes, she's gonna get kidney stones. I could make money on surgery. So I don't know. But the good news is I don't have urinary tract infection, and I know I didn't, because I've had them before, and it's horrible. So I'm not. Like I said, I wasn't really worried about the polyps, and I'm not too worried about this either. So okay, so that's some good stuff.